Welcome back. The Republican U.S. presidential field is shrinking. In an exclusive CNN interview, Lindsey Graham announced that he's dropping out of the race for the White House. Some polls show the South Carolina senator is getting less than 1% of support. Graham was among the more moderate Republican candidates on key issues like immigration.
Well, my campaign, I'm going to suspend my campaign. I'm not going to suspend my desire to help the country. I'll probably go back to Iraq and Afghanistan and get another update. 36 trips has informed me. But the one thing I feel really good about is that I did it with a smile on my face. I talked about things that are important to me and somebody better fix one day.
CNN senior Washington correspondent Jeff Zeleny joins me now for more on all of this. Jeff, what did you make of this decision and what has been the reaction from the other candidates?
Well, Linda, it's not much of a surprise that Senator Lindsey Graham saw the writing on the wall, quite frankly, and decided that he would end his campaign. He still has a full political career ahead of him. That's one of the differences between him and some of the other candidates. He's still in the United States Senate. He still wants to have a voice here. So, look, I mean, he was a victim of a very, very, very large Republican field. Even with him dropping out, it's still down to 12 Republican who are running, so it had been 13. So, look, it was just difficult for him to break through, but he did make contributions to this race. Very strong on ISIS, very strong on national security, and moderate on immigration. But you could argue he'll actually be more powerful, more influential dropping out, because one of those candidates will be looking for an endorsement from him, looking for supporters from him. He's from the U.S. state of South Carolina, and that state is the a state that has the first Southern Republican primary. So in February, the voters of South Carolina, his home state, will make their judgment on this field. So he'll be very influential in that respect. But look, he was crowded out by people like Donald Trump. He was crowded out by outsiders, and he is very much an insider after serving in Washington for almost 20 years.
But given he had such low support, will endorsement of another candidate make much of a difference?
I think it will, in the sense of that South Carolina primary that I talked about. The voters there see Lindsey Graham as more than just a failed presidential candidate. They see him as a respected United States senator who has views, important views on national security, on the Middle East, on ISIS, on fighting ISIS. So I think that he goes back to his role as the senior senator from the state of South Carolina. His endorsement does matter in that respect, but as a presidential candidate, he does not have many supporters to bring along with him. He was near the very bottom of this very big Republican field.
Right. And Jeff, just looking at another issue, during the Democratic presidential debate over the weekend, Hillary Clinton came out and claimed that Donald Trump is becoming the best recruiter for ISIS. And now Trump, it seems, is demanding an apology.
You're right. Donald Trump is demanding an apology from her. I don't expect that he'll get one. But she did say in that weekend Democratic debate that Donald Trump has become the biggest recruiter for ISIS because of his divisive rhetoric on banning Muslims from the U.S. and other things. Well, she has not been able to sort of back up her claim that he is actually the biggest recruiter for ISIS. In fact, a video has surfaced, an ISIS recruiting video that features the current president, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton. So it is not, he's not actually in these videos, but her campaign would argue, her aides argue, that his rhetoric, his divisive rhetoric, help sort of fan the flames of hatred here. And it's one of the reasons that the U.S. is viewed so poorly by many Muslims in that part of the world here. But she's not been able to quite back up her claim. But look, I think this is just one more example that facts don't necessarily matter, aren't necessarily taking precedent in this presidential campaign. Certainly, Donald Trump has told many whoppers of his own here, so I think that anyone's going to be feeling too sorry for him.
That is a very good point. Jeff Zeleny, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Linda.
Well, still to come at the international desk, Hezbollah buries one of its own and says Israel will be held responsible for his death.